Hey guys, how's it all going today? I wanted to jump on and do a quick live for you guys on a question that we get asked pretty commonly in clinic. And we just wanted to sort of explain it a little bit further and that it's not such a simple answer. So a question we get a lot is how much does a chiropractic cost? And so, yes, how much does a chiropractic session cost is a very important question because you want to make sure you can actually afford it. But there are plenty of other questions that you should be asking as well to make sure that you find the right fit for you. So I guess the first thing that pops up is like as soon as you, like obviously if you're in pain and you need to see someone, you need to ask yourself whether you're looking for short-term relief, symptomatic relief, or you're looking for a long-term solution to your pain. So obviously that's going to be a big indicator of where you're going to go with your treatment and who you're going to choose. So obviously if you just want short-term symptomatic relief, you don't have to sort of dig too deep. But I think the thing we see in clinic is people don't want that short-term relief. Yeah, they want to get out of pain really quickly, but they also want a little bit of an education as to why they're in pain, how they can stop it from occurring in the future. Because there's nothing more frustrating than sort of having an issue, getting it fixed, going back and returning to sort of, exercise or sport or to the gym, and all of a sudden your pain flares up again. You're back to square one, you got to go back, you got to go through the whole process again. So yeah, make up your mind whether you're looking for short-term relief or whether you're looking for a long-term solution to your actual issue. One of the other things like super important is what are you actually getting for that initial consult fee? So I guess like one thing you want to look at is how long is an initial consult? How long are you actually going to spend with your practitioner? I know we do an hour for our initial consult, and that involves sort of like, the whole gamut of exam, treatment, and rehab process. I've also worked in clinics where I've left because I didn't agree with their treatment schedule, where you'd book a 30-minute appointment, but you're actually only spending, 10, 15 minutes with the chiropractor. They come in, they put you in a room, they put a heat pack or they put some dry needles in, they walk out, they go and treat someone else. They come back to you, do a couple of adjustments, bang, see you later. So that's another big one as well, is actually taking the time to get to know you and who you are as a person, get to know your specific goals or help you set some specific goals, and then alternatively help figure out a plan to help you achieve those goals. So time is a massive thing, and how long you're actually spending with a chiro, because sometimes what they say isn't necessarily what you get. The next one that we kind of touched on before is, what does an initial consult involve? So initial consults can be really varied. There are some out there you should always be wary of where they offer, initial exam and x-rays and the whole shebang. Usually it's just sort of like a marketing scheme to sort of like get you in the door. They then charge Medicare a bucket load for your x-rays, and then they tell you there's a heap of things wrong, which sort of like scares you into going into more treatment than what you would necessarily need. So, where you go through, we obviously, if you have x-rays and imaging, you can bring them in because they help give us a better idea. But I don't think being lured into a consult with the promise of free x-rays to see if there could potentially be something going wrong is necessarily the best way to choose your practitioner. Like we said before, our exam we go through, we take the time to get to know you. We go through like a really nice thorough history, and then we get to sit down, we unpack some goals. So what do you want to work towards? And then we sort of start sort of reverse engineering or working backwards from that point to establish some healthy habits that are going to help you achieve those goals. Then we go through a nice thorough exam where we check out your range of motion, we check out your active and your passive range of motion. So that helps us to determine whether what's going on for you is like sort of a muscle injury or a joint injury, or whether it's a brain communicating with your muscle injury. And really that kind of stuff is going to dictate your treatment and then how long sort of it takes to get those results. And then finally, we always give you like a nice little rehab program. So during the consult, we're using the whole hour or the 45 minutes for a regular consult to explain and educate things so that you know what's going on with your body and you can start to piece together a bit more of a long-term solution. So that way it doesn't keep flaring up. You don't feel frustrated that you're sort of going around in circles, and you can actually see the progress that you're making. The next question you want to talk about is how regularly will you need to come in? Yes, $125 for a regular consult might seem expensive compared to the $85 from the guy down the road. But if the guy down the road has to see you 3 times a week, what's that? 180, 85, 170. I should have done better math. You know, you're looking at like $235 a week as opposed to that 125. The other thing, obviously, as well, is your time. So if you have, like, if we can get you better in once a week, that's obviously going to be a lot more efficient for you money-wise and time-wise, because you're not having to tramp down to a consults, you know, to spend time sitting by yourself in a room with a TENS machine or some acupuncture needles in, or a heat pack on, you know. So you're getting that, not only is it cheaper, but you're getting better value for money because you're actually getting the treatment that you want wrapped up in a nice little bundle. The next thing is, and probably one of the most important or most common questions we get asked, is how many sessions will it take to see results? And realistically, like, it varies for everyone. So it's hard to give a blanket statement. But what we like to say in our initial consults is you should see a noticeable improvement from when you walk in to when you walk out. And then I would say after 3 to 4 sessions, you should start to see that improvement lasting in between the sessions. You know, so it might be you come in, you feel pretty crappy, so your pain's like, you know, at a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and then you do your treatment, you do your rehab, you get your exercise, and it goes down, you know, maybe to a 3 or 4 out of 10. But that might last, you know, for a couple of days, depending on how long you've had the injury and sort of what activities you're going back to. But then it slowly starts to creep up. And so that's a pretty normal part of the rehab process, where you sort of feel better, you take a bit of tension off the system, but then you gradually build that tension back up again. And so it starts to become painful again. And then I would say, like, after, you know, 3 to 4 sessions, you should start to see that, you know, though that relief lasts longer, and you can start spacing out the sessions. And the reason why that is because initially we're taking tension off, and then eventually we're building up the system so that it can handle more stress in the future and stop you from getting pain and discomfort. And then that's ultimately what stops your injury from coming back again. So they are a few other questions that you should probably be asking, other than just how much does a chiropractic cost? Because obviously there's a monetary value involved, but there is also a time and an effort. And then obviously the amount of value that you get from your session. So I hope that makes it a little bit easier for you, and it helps to sort of clarify a few things, and hopefully it gets you thinking a little bit differently about, rather than just how much does a chiropractic cost, as opposed to how much is it going to cost you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, we've written a nice little blog article that this goes on, which you might or might not be reading right now. But if you aren't and you don't like reading, this is a nice little summary of it all. Cheers, guys. Have an awesome week.